I am Dia, and I'm 17. I am very bright, but there are indelible marks that seem to be stigma to which I've tried to deal with. It has not been easy, but I tried my best to push through. When I was 12, I had an accident with a boiling water when my mother was cooking in the kitchen. I sustained injury on my right arm. My skin peeled as a result of the incident. It looked ugly, and I never like. Yeah, it was because of this reason that I covered it all the time at school. It was my decision not to disclose it with my friends' friends, and I maintained. There was this guy in my school. We do homework together, and when we play games, we make the team. He is a funny guy, fair and tall. On our last day at school, before vacation, a group of us agreed to go swim, and we chose a popular swimming pool not too far from our school. We were all excited, and off we went, but before our arrival, I was a bit moody, having remembered my scar since it must be uncovered and seen by everyone. On arrival, everyone jumped into the pool, but I was hiding myself to avoid what I knew. Finally, I joined my friends, and while I was swimming, I was searching for my friend Tim. But to my amazement, Tim was nowhere to be found. I kept swimming and searching until finally I saw him sitting at a corner, still putting on his navy blue jeans and white canvas. I took a pillow, covered my scar, and came out of the pool. Went straight to him and asked, "Why don't you swim with us? Especially me?" He answered and said he does not really like. After the swimming experience, we went home together. But while in the bus, I asked him why he didn't join us to swim because I felt there must be a reason for his unbalanced excuse. He then opened up to me and said he has a scar on his leg. That's his reason for not swimming since he always avoids exposing it. At this point, I told him about my scar too, which was similar to his own. The difference is that mine is on my hand, while his own is on the leg. And he was surprised. While we were having our chat in the bus, a lady sitting close heard a little about our conversation. She gave me a sign with one eye, which means, "You guys are intimate friends. Right on." I caught the sign and responded in a lady's way too, and Tim was not even aware of that. When it was time for me to alight from the bus, I pretended I never knew we were close because I raised a funny joke which got I and Tim laughing out loud. When Tim realized the bus had passed where I should stop, he called my attention, but I told him not to worry. At this juncture, Tim surprised me by alighting a bus stop before his bus stop. I alighted with him together. We were now between his bus stop and mine. He said he will walk me down to mine, and as we were moving, we were gisting. After a long walk, we were close to my bus stop. Then he looked into my eyes and said to me, "Take care of yourself." I said to him, "I want to walk you down too." And he laughed and said I should not worry, but I insisted. When we were walking down to his way, he said he has never been this happy in all his life. He started telling me a story of how a girl laughed him to scorn. He said it started when I was 5. I was good at climbing, be it tree, stick, chair, and anything climbable. Both of us laughed as we were still walking. On that fateful Sunday morning, my dad was still in his room, and my mother was in the bathroom pasting. I was doing my climbing from one chair to another in the sitting room. It was time for breakfast, and my mother was preparing the table. Suddenly, I threw up my brown teddy bear. In my attempt to catch it, I hit my body on the dining table. The collision was so hard that the hot water for coffee turned and every drop of it poured on my leg as I was at the top of my voice. My mouth was already bleeding by the time Mum arrived because I also hit my face on the table. I was immediately raised and taken to the hospital. As a little boy of 5, my skin was so soft that it did not take a couple of minutes for my skin to start peeling. The doctor said nurses that attended to me did their best. Later on, I started recovering, but by the time I was out of pain, my skin was already looking scary and messy. I remember my dad always cautioned me about climbing. Then my father took me out for shopping. And as we were shopping, a woman with her daughter of about 10 or 11 years were also shopping. I was putting on half pant with wine red polo. As we were shopping, the girl that came shopping with her mom saw me, looked at me, and as I looked at her too, smiling, suddenly she looked down and saw the scar on my leg and gave me a shocking sign. Next, she came a bit closer, and after looking at my leg, bursted in laughter. I couldn't hold it, but I felt so cold. As I talk, her picture and all she did are fresh in my memory. I couldn't but held Tim on his right hand and said to him, "It's okay. It's all in the past. Thank God the hot water didn't come close to your handsome face." Tim smiled at me in such a manner as one that wants to say something emotional. By the time I looked up, we were close to Tim's bus stop. He said he must walk me down to my bus stop, and it was fun walking to and fro that day because we were not going to see till school resumes, and it was a long vacation. Something dramatic happened, and I was speechless as Tim was telling me his story. I recalled an encounter I had at a shopping mall with a boy. I still can remember that I laughed at a boy after taking a close look at the scar on his leg. I couldn't help but to tell Tim that I had a confession to make. He was amazed at such word and could be the confession. He said I should speak up. I told him to look at me and he did. I said to him, "I'm that girl you had the encounter with at the mall." He looked at me with utmost amazement. He looked at me, and I couldn't hold it. The fire came so strong in me, and I hugged him, and he held me so tight. I felt like I was in heaven with vanilla ice cream and chocolate. I said to him, "I love you. I love you. I love you so much." He replied, "I love you too." Tim told me that he was going to tell his dad what happened today, and I said he should not, but he insisted. I said it's okay if it will make you happy. We exchanged our house addresses. I hugged him again and again, and we said bye to each other. After a few steps, I would turn, and immediately I would see him turn too, and we would wave at each other. We kept doing that until we could not see each other. The memories didn't allow me eat, let alone sleep in the night. Every image I saw on the television that night was like Tim's image. I was a little insane that night. Some funny thoughts began to flash on my mind that night as I was in bed. 3 weeks after this unforgettable experience, something awesome and tragic happened. I remember sitting and watching my favorite television program, Shirley Temple. Suddenly, our doorbell rang, and my mom went to open the door. Behold, it was first a tall man entering, followed by a handsome guy. Guess who? It was my own Tim. I could not believe my eyes. I jumped up line a mountain deer and rushed Tim. He was full of smiles and laughter. This time, I could not hug him, but my spirit, soul, and body were all wrapping him. His lips were so charming that I would have committed an offense if not for the presence of our parents. Even as our parents were exchanged pleasantries, honestly, I was tapping serious current from his hand. I felt like not leaving that hand. I wouldn't know what came over my parents that day because on a normal day, they would have told the children to enter the room as parents are having their own gists. I will not forgive my mother because she didn't say that. But who knows if she saw something because of the way I acting. Well, thank God for my parents because who knows what would have followed. When Tim and his dad left, I was full of thoughts. My happiness of seeing him and the thought of missing him were mixed together, leaving me in a state I couldn't explain. Little did I know that something strange was about happening. As they left, I joined my mother in house chores. When it was time to rest, my dad, as usual, tuned into the news channel. To our disbelief, there comes a breaking news of a ghastly moto accident that claimed all except one. As the name of the victims were being called, with my eyes full of shock, I saw Gregory Jackson, Tim's dad. As if the name mentioned was not enough to convince us, a short video clip showed, and behold, my Tim, before journalists narrating the tragic incident. All I could remember later was seeing my Tim on television because from what I was told, the moment I saw my Tim, I slumped and was revived at the hospital with the help of oxygen. My dad and my mom planned attending the funeral service without me to avoid further problems, but when they saw it wise to take me along, they had no option than to do so. At seeing me, my Tim came and gave me a deep hug. I was his consolation throughout the funeral. Thank God I saw my Tim.